This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 167 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Equestrian Collections offers the whole universe of shopping at your fingertips. Shop online at equestriancollections.com. The Barnworks, marketing and more for the equestrian professional. Plus, Kentucky Performance Products. Find them at kppusa.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Coach Jen.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. Welcome, Jen. I'm so happy to do a show with you again.
Heidi Hody.
We're off playing. The cat's away, so the mice are having a good time this week. Glenn's not with us, is he?
No, he's off doing grunt work today.
That's good. Maybe it'll humble him a little bit.
Well, it does tend to take the wind out of his sails a little bit, because the kind of grunt work he's doing today, he has no audience.
That's awful.
Yeah, and that makes it a little tough on Glenny Glenn. So
that's like putting a pony out all by yourself. When you take an audience away from Glenn, it does deflate him, doesn't it?
It does. So I suspect there will be repercussions later in the day that will most likely involve either baked goods or M&Ms.
Oh, or both. That's in your baked goods.
M&Ms in the baked goods. That's even better. Hey, you know what I had the other day? Just to be off topic, I'll play like I'm Glenn. Yeah. Went to a hunter pace last weekend with Beaker.
You rode in it?
Yes, and I had a lovely time. It was wonderful. And they had because it's a hunter pace, and hunter paces are generally associated with hunt clubs, which this one was put on by the Woodford Hounds, and they had picnicking afterwards, of course, and they had pumpkin chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my God.
They were wonderful.
Pumpkin. Okay, so tell me, were they pumpkin flavored, or were the chocolate chips pumpkin chocolate chips?
They were the cookie dough. You know, when you make a chocolate chip cookie, it's just a sugar cookie dough base, and then you add chocolate chip cookies to it, or chocolate chips to it. It was a standard sugar cookie, and now, it wasn't a sugar cookie base. It was a what we always called bread cookie base, but it's a cookie dough base, just generic, sweet,
generic
crunchy,
cookie.
generic cookie. Yeah. But part of the wet ingredients are replaced by pumpkin, like you would make a pumpkin pie with, like a can of pumpkin, and that's what part of the wet ingredients are. So it's got the texture of an iced cake type cookie, and then you add chocolate chips to it. It was pretty yummy.
That does sound pretty good. And I'm thinking of some other things I'd like to put in there, like maybe some nuts or some white chocolate, maybe. All the things you can do with pumpkin guts.
Yeah. Pumpkin innards.
I wish we had an oven, because that's something I would actually try to cook or try to bake.
Yeah.
That sounds so good. It's so tempting that we're working on the oven part. Hopefully that's going to be our late fall winter project, is getting the kitchen done and putting an oven in. I have great news. I met with the surgeon yesterday, and I am 12 weeks post-operation. So I'm at 3 months, and I have got the clearance to ride.
Yay!
I know. Now,
who are you going to ride?
I know. My surgeon's eyes did bug out of his head a little bit when I asked the question, so can I ride? And, he said, yes, just, you have to be careful dismounting and no heavy stuff. So I can do walk, trot, easy stuff, not a lot of half seat. Not yet.
No.
We still have some healing to do, but so I can ride a bike, I can do yoga, I can lightly jog to my comfort level, but no sports like, I can't play soccer or lacrosse.
See, you're so much better a healer than I am. You're 12 weeks post, and you can do all that stuff. I'm 22 years post and still can't do it.
That's because you waited 10 before you had the surgery.
Well, yeah, there was probably that too. And I got exactly 0 rehab. Exactly 0.
That's a big deal.
One follow-up visit, and he said, okay, you're good, see ya. That was it.
How long ago did you have the surgery?
1983.
Yeah, they've learned a lot since then.
Yeah.
PT is half the problem.
Yeah.
And yours was meniscus, which is
yes,
really, that's very challenging to rehab. That's harder than the ACL.
Now, it doesn't sound like it should be, though.
It doesn't.
ACL just sounds really serious.
Well, it is serious in that it's a key item in your arsenal, in the knee arsenal. But it's only used in very specific circumstances, whereas your meniscus is used all the time.
Pretty much, yeah, that's true.
And it is a pain generator. So if there's something wrong in there, it'll generate a lot of pain. So that can severely limit what you do.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't know it was a pain generator. Then you would think that if there's less of it, there would be less pain. But that's not the way it works.
No. Bone on bone. Bone pain is one of the most, it is the most excruciating pain.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Sorry. But that's why so many people have problems with arthritic knees. It's why it is such a limiting factors, because it's not just a bunch of gunk. And our horses, too. It's not just a bunch of gunk that's in there. It's gunk that creates pain.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you start to change your gait to accommodate this. And
yeah. Oh, and one more off-topic thing,
yes.
And then I guess we'll have to get serious and get down to business here. You may have noticed on my Facebook page that Dr. Wendy Ying, our good buddy from over there on the driving show, stopped over and gave Beaker a once-over. I wanted to make sure he had. Yeah, I wanted to make sure he had a clear bill because I've been jumping a little bit more, and he just has had some wonky things in his neck and his pole. And I said, well, let's make sure that there's nothing that's going to get worse by jumping him little jumps, or bigger jumps, as the case may be. And she gave him the once over and said, yeah, he's got some stuff out of whack, but he's fine. And he was such a good boy. And she did the chiropractic on him. He had two spots in his neck that had to get fixed up in his jaw a little bit. And he was very cooperative about that. And Beaker he's not a spooky horse by any stretch of the imagination. I think I could count the number of times he spooked on my 2 hands. But he's always alert. He always knows what's going on, and it's more of a curiosity alert than a scare alert. He always wants to know what's going on, and he's into mischief. A little bit Pie-like that way.
yeah.
And she's working on it, and I'm kind of watching his face to see his reactions and stuff. And his lips are pursed like he just ate a lemon. They're tight. Yeah. And I said, I just never thought of it before, but I have never seen Beaker hang his head and relax and have flappy lips. I'm sure he does when he sleeps, but I've never seen him do that ever. Even when he's just kind of hanging around, he's always eating. He's never just relaxed. He just eats all the time. And he almost got flappy-lipped when she did laser therapy across his croup because he has one side of his pelvis needed some work. And she was doing that, and she got about halfway through it. And I said, well, what does a horse feel when you do laser therapy? Oh, no, I've never had done. She said it feels warmth to them. That's what they're feeling on that side. Texturally, they feel warmth, and it's just getting the muscles and stuff. Right. And he almost got loose-lipped. It was very nice.
Oh, wow. And this is over the croup where she did the laser therapy?
Yes, I can't even begin to understand it all because I was picking her brains, and she was telling me all about the different parts she was manipulating and why, and the tendons across their spine and why some of them get stretched out and some of them don't, and all this stuff, and why when they compensate here, they get sore there. And one side of his croup needed some work on it. The left side was in good shape, but the right side, obviously, there were some issues, and she manipulated things and said, see how this is uncomfortable for him, right. Which was very obvious when she did it, because the one side she manipulated, and he was fine. The other side, she did the same thing. He wanted to kick her kneecaps off. Again, an unusual behavior. He said, don't do that. So she did the laser over there, and at first he was very guarded. What are you going to do? Because they don't trust it. It's like, you're going to do something to hurt me because you're a vet.
Yes.
And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're a vet. You're going to do something that hurts. And by the time she got finished, she's going, oh, you're cool. You scratch my ears. You make my butt feel warm. I love you.
And then we got the flappy lips.
Just a tiny little bit. The bottom lip just relaxed a little bit. The top stayed pursed, but the bottom relaxed a little bit. So she's going to come back next week, a follow-up, because with chiropractic work, you frequently have to revisit several times to get everything to stay where you put it because it's been out of whack for a long time.
Right. This is true with humans as well.
Yes.
And your muscles sort of create this mold. They mold around the bad structure of your spine, and you kind of have to you have to fight that.
Follow up. So I'm very curious to see if he gets looser lipped.
Oh, you'll just have to pop in next week on Stable Scoop, even if Glenn is back, because I would really like to follow this. I think this would be an interesting update to have.
Yeah, it was very interesting. She explained to me why there's the differences between chiropractic and the results you would get with the laser that complements the chiropractic that can be used in conjunction with the, what's the needles?
Oh, acupuncture.
Acupuncture, yeah.
I wonder if they have acupressure, too, for horses. They have to. We need to have Dr. Ying back on, I think. I think we need to have Dr. Ying back on. Because I think Beaker would be a good example for her to talk about all these alternative treatments.
Yeah, she's so good at explaining it so that it makes sense to those of us who have never had a college course.
She is. She's very articulate and enthusiastic about it. That's why I'm thinking it would be nice to have her back on. But I would like to pick this conversation up again toward the end of the show because I just would. But we actually have a guest coming on. We're going to talk to a fellow who's running not a very well-known clipper company, but a fabulous clipper company. And we're going to talk to, in just a minute, Kenan Laube of Kim Laube Company. And we're going to hear very quickly from one of our sponsors, Equestrian Collections, and then we're going to get right into the Laube interview. The fall season is upon us, and it's time to start thinking about your horse's blanket again. Perhaps it's even time for a new one. Well, Equestrian Collections has an extensive range of blankets for all weather conditions, featuring more than 20 brands, including the popular horseware choices of Amigo, Rhino, and Rambo models. Hundreds of options and competitive pricing mean Equestrian Collections is the place to go for your turnout needs this year. Don't wait for the real nasty weather. Be ready now with a brand new blanket at equestriancollections.com. So welcome, Kim, to the Stable Scoop Show. We're very happy to have you here and to learn a little bit about Laube and the clippers that hopefully we will find in every horse barn around the United States. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us who is Laube and when did the company get started and what exactly is it that you guys do?
Kim Laube and Company is a company that started out in the clipper business, and we started out about 35 years ago or more, dealing with clippers, servicing them, repairing them, and then we saw the need for making clipper improvements, and so we made some improvements that we consider to be quite exceptional in the clipper business, particularly to the professional or the serious enthusiast, is what our clippers are designed for.
And what is it now? I haven't heard the name Laube in the horse world very much. Who's your primary market?
Well, we have our primary market is dealing with professional grooms, professional groomers. We do have many customers in the horse business, but it's typically those that are clipping several hours a day, like for a living, or those that clip quite a few of their own horses. We do much with the dog grooming business, veterinarians, and so we have quite a diverse animal business, but primarily dealing with the professional and the serious horse enthusiast. And there's people are going to be clipping quite a bit, and our machines are designed for that environment, 8 hours a day. This is what they do for a living, 5 days a week. And so that's what all of our clippers are designed for. The difference between most other companies, I would say, and the way that we view things, we separate trimmers from clippers, and it is a difficult area for some of the clipper companies to define or for people to understand what is the difference. And you won't really find a printed definition between clipper and trimmer. It's kind of a fuzzy line. But we make a pretty clear delineation at Laube Company for the difference between clippers and trimmers.
And what is that delineation?
Well, what Lobby considers, what I consider to be a clipper, is when you take a look at a machine that's out there, that you're maybe a consumer's looking at, and you look at the clipper blades itself, and if the clipper blades are interchangeable with other brands of clippers that are out there, that's typically what we would throw into being a clipper. Trimmers by manufacturers, such as Lobby, we typically have the clipper blades are not interchangeable with any other brand of trimmers that are out there. The trimmer blades are exclusive, and you can only get those from, for example, our trimmer blades, you can get those only from Lobby. So those are fairly exclusive to us, whereas the clippers kind of have a very wide, interchangeable blade selection that several manufacturers will make comparable blades.
I've got it. You're going to hate this, Alina.
What?
Trimmers are the apples of the clipper world. Everything is proprietary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much trimmers, the blades are only fit their machine usually. So, but the heavy-duty clippers designed for, bulkier clipping are typically interchangeable.
Well, now, let's say bulky. Would you say it like sheepdog bulky or like, fuzzy pony bulky? How do you define bulky?
Well, in other words, for taking down serious coats, for example, horses have about 4,000 hairs per square inch. And so when you take a look at dogs have about 40,000 hairs per square inch.
Wow.
And so, as you look at the different animals, now, see, when you get into human clippers, this is some of the common mistakes that people that have horses make, is they'll typically go into a store, maybe a big box retailer, for example, and they look at a human clipper over there, looks pretty smart, pretty sporty, and they go, I'll just buy that and I'll start, shaving down my horse. But clipping human hair, humans have about 700 hairs per square inch. And so clipping human hair is a much easier task. And so when they try to take a human clipper and they try to, shave down a horse, for example, they're going to come into a lot of frustration because the machine hasn't been really designed for that. And so at Lobby Company, what we have is all of our machines are really designed for the heavy-duty usage, so that they can shave down horses, matted up old English sheepdogs, horses that have, thick winter coats. All of our machines, our clippers, are designed for that type of purpose. So what we do is, with clippers, for example, some of the ways that a consumer could benefit is by looking at the speeds of the clipper.
Ooh, this is a good one. This is very confusing stuff here. Pay attention, listeners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so the speed of a clipper, what we typically will find out there is if they're looking at a clipper they want to shave a horse down with, the speeds of the machine typically range about 3,000 to 4,000 strokes per minute. At the Lobby Clipper Company, we run our clippers at about 10,000 strokes a minute, and that allows them to have a much more powerful stroke in going through the hair. It cruises through a lot better. We have our customers tell us it helps keep their blades sharper much, much longer. In fact, we've had customers tell us that it helps keep their blades up to 10 times sharper with the Lobby clipper because it doesn't slow down, it doesn't bog down. So we have... help
in the speed and the overall speed of the project, so you're not making 2 or 3 passes. You can actually get a good, clean pass in the first try?
Yes, exactly. Well, what's happening is you don't have to make several passes, and also, too, you're not allowing the blade to jam up. It's going so fast that it doesn't allow the blade to jam up. And what happens when a blade jams up is that costs the consumer more money because then the blade, you're just jamming hair in between those teeth, and then it begins to dull the edge of the blade. Whereas when you've got the high speed going there, it helps to slice the hair before it gets all jammed up in there and keeps it sharper longer.
Okay, so, quick. Mm-hmm. I told you this would be the confusing section.
Sure.
I warned you ahead of time, Kim.
No problem.
So you have strokes per minute is how fast the blades go.
That's correct.
Now, is it like an automobile where torque is involved in that the faster the blades go, the less torque there is? Does it work that way with the motor for a set of clippers as well? Or can you have really fast blades that also represent sufficient power? Do they have an inverse relationship like an automobile does?
Well, there is. In other words, for example, if you're going to relate it to automobile, which I think is a good example, it's kind of like you could have 2 vehicles. You could have a great big heavy-duty truck, let's say, with a big V8 engine in it. going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour. But you could also have another vehicle. You'd have a little four-banger, a four-cylinder engine there going down
Careful,
the freeway.
I have one of those.
Oh, there you go. Now we know why you're frustrated, right? You've needed power.
Yes, I need power.
Put one of these clippers under your hood and go faster.
I would go faster. You're right.
There you go. That's it. See, it's like we say, when it's more than a hobby, clip with a lobby.
Yeah, I'm going to drive one. Go ahead.
10,000 strokes a minute. That's it. If it's doing 10,000 strokes a minute, it's a lobby.
That's it.
Now, that's the thing is you can go down the freeway, you can hit 70 miles an hour with a little four-cylinder, but you may not have as much power behind it. And so with the lobby clippers, I know that's one thing we do have is we have some larger motors, for example, that give it a more torque behind the speed, and when they're going to be plowing, and when plowing is like when say they've got a bunch of horses they've got to do body clipping on, and you really want to do that, then we'd recommend they get the larger size lobby clipper because they'll be able to do that with ease. But we do have smaller, lighter ones. Because these are the considerations that anyone that's going to be doing clipping will consider is the weight of the clipper, how long they're going to be holding it, and the speed of the clipper. Those are things that are crucial to helping a consumer pick out the right type of clipper. The slower the clipper, the slower the strokes per minute, probably the more frustration they're going to have, the more dull blades they're going to have, the more servicing they're probably going to have. Typically, the faster it goes, the more they'll get accomplished in an easier, shorter time period.
And let's talk a little bit about precision because we've got the lighter weighted clippers and then we've got the heavy duty ones. One of the things that I notice in some of these clip jobs, especially the Hunter clips or the Trace clips, that you really want that clean line. Obviously, some of that has to do with a steady hand, but how does the weight and the power of your clippers affect precision?
Well, the weight of the clipper is not really going to affect much other than to cause, a lot of people complain about carpal tunnel problems. Professionals, they have surgery on that all the time because they're holding, when you have something heavy and you can get something that'll do the job better and it's lighter, that's one of the features that we promote, which are lobby clippers, and that is a lighter clipper. Because over the years, what's happened is in the clipper business, there's been clipper companies that have maintained the old-fashioned clipper motors, for example, which are very heavy, and they haven't changed that. And what those old-fashioned motors have is you have a clipper, and if it has air vents, it's an air-cooled motor. And that means that it's sucking dirt and hair and debris in through the clipper to try to cool that motor down. And that's kind of what we consider to be the old-fashioned technology. Now, the new technology uses sealed motors. There's no air or debris getting sucked into the clipper, and the more dirt and debris you get in the clipper, the hotter the clipper runs. So when you keep the motor clean, what we use is steel hardened ball bearing motors so that they're sealed and no air, no debris gets in there, and the motor just runs at a nice, cool operating temperature, and so that's more comfortable for the user. And you can also use a lighter motor. You're not having to have the big fan in there to cool the motor down. And with technology over the last 20 years has been so incredible that you can get smaller, just like you have with automobiles. You can get smaller, more efficient, than what the older type heavy-duty vehicles were. So we use that type of technology. We also put headlights on all of our clippers because a lot of the clipping that's done is not always outside, but it's in barns where it's dark. They have low lighting. So we help them with more efficiency that way. And when you're trying to get a really smooth clip, I know that was where you were asking on your question there, that has a lot to do with the speed. It also
now, which speed? The strokes per minute of the blade?
The strokes per minute, that's
okay.
Right, the strokes per minute. Look at those strokes per minute when they purchase a clipper. The faster the speed, typically, the smoother the clip they'll get, less choppy, or as they call it, the corduroy look that happens.
That's me, yeah.
Yeah, me too. If you've ever seen any of my clips, you'll know why I was asking about precision. I want something that does that.
Yeah, and that has to do with the stroke. In other words, how wide the stroke is in the clipper. In other words, how wide that little blade that moves from the left to the right. And the wider that stroke is, then typically you get less of that choppy lines and tracks. And so typically with the larger, older-fashioned, heavier-duty clippers, there's not a lot of blade selection either. They're kind of stuck with those, the type of teeth that tend to leave a choppy corduroy cocker type of a look, or corduroy, clip on the horse. And so what you want to do is you want to try to get a clipper that has a larger blade selection, so you can get the blades that leave a smoother, cleaner finish. For example, I know in the Arabian horses, they like to clip very, very close because they like to have the muscles and the veins all popping out there when they're doing their show. And so they like to clip with very precision, fine blades that don't leave a bunch of lines and tracks. And so there's machines out there, and we have been a supplier to the Arabian horse world for many, many, many years, the high show end. And so because of leaving the smooth, clean, get right down and have that muscle look. So if they're looking for that kind of a finish, we certainly are a manufacturer that supplies that.
So a quick question on blades, because we're bouncing all over the map here, but there's so much to cover when it comes to clippers.
Oh, sure.
When you say clipper selection, there are a number of things involved with clippers. There's the width of the blade itself. In other words, when you make one swipe, it's 4 inches wide. There's that.
That's correct.
Then the other aspect is the numerical designation it gets that gives you the quote, the length of the hair when it's done, like a number 40 versus a number 15.
Right.
Right. Now, are there any other parts of a clipper blade like, oh, well, there's those two things, but then there's this to consider as well?
Well, yes, I would say that you have, for example, the width of the blade. Now, what's happened with the advent of having more powerful clippers, smaller, you have, like you said, the different sizes, for example. They have the width of it, and a standard width they have on those blades is about a 2-inch. But then you can also get the 3.5-inch type blade, which is the wider blade, and on your super huge large ones, you have the 4-inch type blade width.
Which is really handy when you're body clipping a horse.
Yes, and so but what you can do is now you can get the smaller machines that have great power that and many times is greater or equivalent to even those great big machines, without having to carry and load that big heavy machine around that's got air vents that's going to be blowing not only in your face, because typically you're clipping at face level.
Yeah,
and it's not going to be blowing in the animal's ears or face or eyes or nose, irritating them. So you can get machines that are better for both the user and the animal, and that's what we provide. All of our machines are sealed. There's no air that's blowing in anybody's face. In fact, we even have a vacuum attachment that sucks the hair up as they clip if they like.
I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, they can put that on any clipper. So, but yeah, with the blade selection, you want to go with. I would recommend they choose ones that have a greater blade selection to get the really smooth finish. For example, that they
now
want
a
to get
smooth finish equates to a higher number. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, the finish, yes. For example, you said like a 15. Now, a lot of the Arab horses, they shave the entire body down with a size 15 blade. They can get a wide 15 blade, which is about 3 inches or so, and then you can get the narrow or the standard one, which is about a 2-inch. So
that's good for nooks and crannies.
Great for nooks and crannies. And then they use the 40 blades around the face and touch up and just kind of like a trimmer. They use that 40 blade like they would use kind of a trimmer, just getting the whiskers and things like that.
Now I have a question about the cordless kind. Because of course, it's so hard to have wires draping from the barn or let alone find a safe outlet that you can use. Is there any trade-off in going cordless in terms of power or speed?
Well, I know with lobby clippers, that's not true. We are probably the innovators in developing that technology for the cordless. In fact, that was some of the first smash hits that we've had were being able to get out into the field and shave a horse down and body shave it in 45 minutes with a cordless clipper. In fact, that's what we launched first was really the cordless clipper. So we are experts in that cordless field. We have clippers that also run even on the lithium-ion batteries, which charge up in about 10 minutes and can give them hours of clipping, as they rotate their batteries nonstop. So, no, there is no loss of power. It's also a safety feature because, you don't have to worry about the horse stepping on the cord, getting electrocuted, or biting into the cord while you're clipping on it. I mean, there's a lot of safety feature there, both for the user and the animal. So we think cordless is extremely important. In fact, when you take a look at all of our clippers online, all of our clippers have cordless feature. And we think that is because that's really where that's the future. No one wants to have the corded feature because it just creates too many problems.
Oh, it does.
Where they can clip.
I'm glad that you led this area in innovation because I see that you've got the lighted, the flash lighted clippers. You've got the cordless. Now, do all of the with all either option, corded or not corded, all of your clippers have the same blade options? So no matter what kind I choose, I still have that availability of all your blades?
That's correct. What we've done is we've made all of our clippers really interchangeable, so all the blades fit on our clippers with any of the other clippers. So they can also buy a corded clipper to start out with, and they can upgrade that to a cordless, or they can go cordless and they can add the corded feature if they want for a backup for whatever reason. So we have it multiple ways because we know that everybody's individual and everybody wants to start out different places, and so we have it both ways for them.
I have to say I'm very, very excited about learning about your company because we're doing this interview right now, and of course I'm clicking around your website, and the number and types of products that you have for the grooming industry, not just for small animals, but I'm seeing a lot of crossover opportunities. There's manes and tails that need to be done, and feathers for those draft horses. I'm getting a little bit excited about the different kinds of products that you have, the dematters and the de-shedders. But I could do a whole show on just every one of these products, but we're going to have to wrap this up. But before we do, I have to ask you about one product in particular.
Sure.
Because I love the name. It's called Me Caveman.
Yeah.
Tell us about Me Caveman.
Where did you find that?
This is
I didn't find the Me Caveman page yet.
Yeah. Me Caveman is, we wanted to come up with, if you take a look at our names, actually, a lot of them are quite unique. I mean, we have like Dirty Dog Shampoo, Filthy Animal Shampoo, we have Hairy Beast. So we have some really unique trademarks. And one of the ones that we fell in love with one of my sons was here, actually, and we were trying to come up with a cologne. We wanted to have something that was kind of rustic, and we wanted to have something that kind of was old-fashioned. So he came up with, how about Me Caveman? And for some reason, it just struck us as fantastic. So we have the Me Caveman. We have that actually in a human cologne and in a dog cologne, and it actually smells pretty good.
Well, because plenty of us horse people have dogs that like to roll around in horse manure, and then those dogs get in our trucks, and we have to travel 14 hours with them, and some horse husbands, they don't always like smelling like horse. So I think this is kind of something. I think I'm going to suggest to everybody that you log on to LaubieShop.com. That's LAUBE shop.com, and of course we will put a link to the website at stablescoop.com. There are so many great products. Definitely start with checking out their choices for clippers because I'll tell you, Kim, you've got me convinced to add a Laubie to my collection. And I might even pick up some of that Me Caveman. So thank you very much for joining us today. And I encourage our listeners, again, to check out LaubieShop.com.
You are so very welcome. Thank you for hosting us.
Well, another great interview with another great company. Who knew?
Oh, my goodness. I think I could have kept poor Kim on here right through his lunch hour.
I know. You were getting all geeky technical.
Well, it's a little bit like car shopping. There are probably a dozen different things that you really have to have a very good understanding of, and then you're good to go. The rest of it's fluff.
This is true.
But it takes a while to go over a dozen things.
Well, I had no idea that, like, the blade speed. I mean, I knew generally that the higher the speed, the better or the powerful it was, but I didn't know how really all the benefits of that investment. Right. Now, these clippers are an investment. Any clipper is an investment, but I would much rather invest in a product that's backed up by the technical knowledge that the Laubie company has, and the support. It's like if I'm going to spend a couple $100 on a clipper, I'm going to go to Laubie. The other companies, I'm sure they're fine. They've worked very hard and long to make a name for themselves. But I just feel like like you said, it's a family-owned company, and they really dive deep into the technology behind the clipper. And I love the fact that they led the way in the lighted cordless clippers. Really, I mean, you're a barn. You need to have one of those in your arsenal. Just
in my do you think Kim has ever contemplated making the Me Caveman cologne in a car refresher?
Oh, product idea. Product idea.
I'm going to email that to Kim later.
Product development, me caveman. I just, honestly, my dog goes out there and rolls in it and just rolls in it. And I say this all the time. I'm like, I wish I just had like Febreze that I could spray on my dog. That's all I need for when people pop over,
Yes, exactly. We'll order you up a case.
Yeah. So again, our thanks to Kim Lobby of Lobby Clipper Company. We will put links to their website on our show notes and, of course, on our Facebook page. So before we move on, we're going to hear from one of our sponsors, The Barn Works, and then we're going to get right into today's Tack and Habit segment. If you're looking for a logo or you need to brand your business somehow, either in print, in web, online, Facebook, you need to log on to thebarnworks.com. It's a small marketing company that caters to equestrian professionals. They offer logo design, business cards, brochure development, website design, business consulting, news release writing, you name it, you can contact the Barnworks for it. Now is not the time to hold back in marketing your company. Now is the time to go out there and chase down new business. And you know what? You don't have to break the bank to do it. Just one phone call, one email to the Barnworks, and your worries will be over. We promise you that. Log on to thebarnworks.com and find out how marketing ideas that they have can help improve your bottom line. All right, Jen, here we are into my favorite segment of Stable Scoop. It's Tack and Habit, where we get to talk about stuff.
This Tack and Habit segment is sponsored by Kentucky Performance Products.
Well, if you're a regular listener to the show, you know we talk a lot about Kentucky Performance Products, and that's because they are a name you can trust to give you the most value for your supplement money. Kentucky Performance Products offers supplements designed to target specific problems and are made with high-quality ingredients included at effective levels. The company's supplements are intended to complement, not compete, with your dressage horse's current feeding program, guarding against oversupplementation, and each product is backed by sound research and a money-back satisfaction guarantee. And today we'd like to talk to you about Nalox, the original equine antacid. It's recommended by veterinarians and leading horsemen as a way of maintaining a healthy stomach, which reduces the risk of ulcers. Nalox can be given daily to horses exposed to stressful conditions or as needed when shipping, competing, or during stall confinement. You know, you can learn about Nalox and all the products at Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com. That's Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
We have something that I'm very excited about. We're going to talk about the White Sierra Women's Rain Jacket, and it's from Sierra Trading Post. I have to give you a quick backstory. I had my mother-in-law gave me a rain jacket, years ago from the Black Dog, which is a shop. It's like a tourist shop in Martha's Vineyard, but it was one of those rubber rain jackets, and it was men's size. And I don't know why. I'm 5'2". I don't know why she keeps buying me men's clothing, but she does. Anyway, I wore this thing because I had nothing else to keep me dry, and it was big, and I could wear it. You know, I could wear sweaters under it and whatever, and the sleeves were long. And despite the fact that I absolutely hate, and it was bright orange, but despite the fact that I absolutely hated this thing, I wore it because it kept me dry, and it really served a purpose, but it was awesome to wear in the barn. Hay didn't stick to it. Shavings didn't stick to it. I could get rained on. It had a hood. Well, finally, this thing shredded. It ripped on a nail or something, and I had nothing to keep me dry. And I thought, well, goodness, how am I going to find something that's going to live up to that?
Yeah, it's a tall order.
So I went online and I started to search, and I searched, and I searched, and I searched. And I'll tell you, probably 4 or 5 months, I searched for a rain.
It took you 4 or 5 months because you couldn't stand up. You were lame on stall rest.
Don't have a lot of time to And around here, living out where I live, it's not like you can get to the store easily. Like the nearest civilization is 14, 15 miles away. So, any hoodles, I went to Sierra Trading Post because Glenn sometimes buys some things from there, and he's mentioned it before.
Yeah, I like Sierra Trading Post a lot.
Yeah, and I said, well, let's just see what they have. And, we went to Burlington Coat Factory, nothing there, And I certainly didn't want to spend $300 for a raincoat.
Yeah.
So I found and ordered this rain jacket. And it's made by White Sierra, and this particular model is called the Junket. I don't know what that means or why they have modern variations on it. And in fact, if you go to Sierra Trading Post now, you will find this jacket in the closeout section, and it's like $50. Okay. I bought it, maybe 2 or 3 months ago for like $69, $79.
Wow.
What's great about it? Okay. First of all, it's super cute, and it comes in 3 colors. I bought it in a powder blue. It comes in a berry pink, and then sort of a forest green. It is a waterproof and breathable jacket. Amen. We buy that for our horses. We should have it for ourselves.
Breathable?
Yep. Waterproof.
Really?
Yes. It has a fully seam-sealed construction. So all the seams are sealed, which means you're not going to get water leakage in through the seams. This particular model is longer cut for added coverage. I like my tushy to stay dry. And the
yeah, see, you gave me a picture here, the show notes. That's nice because there's nothing worse than a wretched downpour, and you have a shorter jacket on, and it pretty much just runs down the waistband of your jeans.
Yes, yeah,
that's
and
lovely.
Your thighs get soaked because those are obviously, as you're walking and moving, those move out from underneath the protection of the jacket. So this little bit of extra coverage, believe it or not, really makes a difference in keeping you happy and dry. It's mesh lined, so it just you get that airflow underneath, inside, so you don't work up a sweat. It is super, super light, and I would think that this material, the fabric being so fine, that it would A, be really flimsy, and B, wouldn't be waterproof. Well, we had some serious rain last week, and I wore this thing out. I did my barn chores in it. I had the horses out in the back field. I had to bring horses in it. I did not get wet. The jacket did get sort of heavy with the water. Like you could feel that it was, because it's so light, you could feel the water sitting on it, but it never penetrated the material. I never got wet inside. And then it dried really fast.
So does it, get my head around how this works. So does it have the waterproofness on the inside membrane like a horse blanket does?
I don't know where the waterproofness is.
Is that a word, waterproofness?
It is if you want it to be.
Okay, it is for the day. That's our word of the day, folks, waterproofness. I will look that up in my thesaurus later. Because a horse blanket, depending on the brand, frequently the exterior surface of the blanket isn't what's waterproof. There's a membrane on the inside, which is usually permanently bonded to the exterior surface, that makes it waterproof. And that would explain why you feel a change in the weight, is that 3 millimeters of exterior surface that's not waterproof can hold moisture. Which is why it feels heavier versus an old-fashioned plasticky, rubbery raincoat, which doesn't breathe.
Well, now that you explain that, yes, I'm going to say that is exactly how it felt. It felt like that. Yes, that's exactly how it felt.
You didn't feel wet, but the jacket did.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why. It's the same, and I'm sure the horse blankets came from the jackets, not the other way around. So it's that same type of technology. So did it come with strong warnings to not wash it in hot water or dry it?
No, it didn't.
Really?
It didn't. It said I should go. It says. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? It does. It says machine wash, hang dry.
There you go.
Okay.
But
it's. I mean, that's like anything. You put it in the dryer, and it's going to compromise whatever technical qualities the has.
Well, I learned that last week on Stable Scoop from Fred's to the Rescue Blanket Wash and Repairman.
Oh.
That the quickest way to ruin the waterproofness of your horse blanket is to expose it to excessive heat.
Yes.
So that would kind of make sense.
Yes. The other nice thing about this jacket is, well, number one, the lightness. So it does not hinder your you can lift bales of hay in it, and it doesn't get in your way. You can,
and it looks very sleek. It's not bulky and puffy.
It is not bulky and puffy, and that's the thing is, now this is I believe I ordered this. That's a medium, and I'm small, so that means they run small.
Mm-hmm. But it looks like it fits you beautifully across the shoulders, but the arms aren't giant and willing to catch on everything in sight, catch on door latches and stuff.
And you notice the hood, it's cut back near the ears, so your eyesight, your vision is not
see. So you can see when Pie's coming around the corner ready to cause mischief.
Damn straight. That's right. Yeah, and it really is. I thought this is when it arrived at my door and I put it on. I said, there's no way I could have gotten this lucky. I mean, I literally said, okay, how about this one? I think it has what I need. And it's not restrictive across the chest. I mean, I don't have big boobs. But, so if you're a little bit more well endowed, like if you're like a C cup or bigger, go for the bigger size, just so you have that room. It's not stretched up.
Well, it's not that old-fashioned puffy cut that we're so used to in rainwear.
Right.
If you're a horse person, our rainwear tends to have an agricultural pattern.
Yes. Yes.
In other words, it's made for farmers with big beer bellies.
Exactly. No, and that was a bit an added plus. Now, one of the things I was hoping, because that previous jacket I was telling you about was bright orange, it was great to wear while riding in the woods during hunting season. It was also good to, if I walk like I walk on the roads for exercise, it's great to have that high visibility. I was hoping to find an equally bright jacket. Now, this color blue happens to be one of my favorite colors. I might go for the hot pink.
That'll do. Sure.
You can wear that on the trails. But anyway, so I think with the color options, the technical options, and the adorable fit, I think for the price, this is worth it. Log on to SierraTradingPost.com. You can look for the White Sierra Junket, Junket, rainwear jacket. It is on closeout, so there might not be many left. However, there are newer models. So I definitely just suggest the White Sierra brand of waterproof rainwear.
Ta-da!
All right.
Cool.
And that's today's Tack and Habit. And what do you think? What were we talking about in the beginning of the show?
We have to do our non-tech pick.
Our non-tech pick. Okay. What is that?
Well, since Glenn does the tech pick,
right,
and I do not do the tech pick because you're the last person. I'm the last person in the world you want picking out anything technical.
It's true.
We thought, well, I can do a training tip. I feel a little more qualified.
Oh, right.
Yeah, a little more qualified.
Okay, so you have we had this goes coincides with a video that's been going around on Facebook. Let's hear your training question of the week.
Oh, yeah, let me find it. I wonder. It sounds so good the way Glenn read it, or wrote it down for me.
It's I'll set it up. The video that's going around and is also available at the Stable Scoop Facebook page is of a girl. She's a woman riding a jumping class after she loses her stirrups. Now, I've seen this video, and I don't know which is more impressive, the fences that she takes without her stirrups or the recovery that took place after she lost them. But we'll let our listeners discuss that offline. But the question was, how often and what should you practice without stirrups?
Ooh, there's a good one. And I have seen this video, and I can see why people say that this girl, because she, you know how people look when they're in riding helmets. Everybody looks like they're 12. Yes. And she has these cute little rosy cheeks. But yeah, she was in a significantly large jumper class, and the horse jumped her out of the tack just a wee bit over one of the fences, and both stirrups, she almost came off unglued. She had one knee on the pommel.
One knee, and she wasn't even holding on to his mouth. Like, how did she had one hand on his neck?
She has a set of biceps too, that girl, because she pulled herself up by her knee and her arm. She didn't pull on the reins at a gallop and finished the round. So obviously, riding without stirrups is part of this young lady's regular regime. And I, from my personal point of view, I don't think that riding without stirrups gets quite the emphasis it should. Riding without stirrups does a lot of things. It strengthens your legs, obviously. It will strengthen your core, because if you're doing sitting trot work and you're doing posting trot work and you're doing canter work, if you don't have your core, your spine, your waist, your shoulders in alignment properly, you're not going to stay on regardless of how hard you squeeze your knees. People have the false impression that riding without stirrups is all about your knees, and it's not. Imagine an old-fashioned clothespin that you put on a clothesline to hang up clothes. Not the one with the hinge, but the old-fashioned one shaped like a V. I'm going to date myself here. If you take a T-shirt and you mash down a clip or a clothespin on there, it stays reasonably well, which is what happens when you have a tall person ride a skinny horse. But that's like a 5'7" person on a 12-hand pony. It's not the real world. You put it over a bath towel, which is really about the ratio you would have with your average-sized person on your average-sized horse, barrel. If that thing gets to flapping in the wind, it's going to come off. That clip is just going to get yanked right off.
Right, okay.
Right? So no matter how hard you squeeze your knees on a horse, that's not what keeps you on. When you ride without your stirrups, you maintain the same position you would if you had your stirrups. All of those alignments should remain the same. What happens, though, is by not having your stirrups, it's a little bit like trying to walk with your eyes closed.
You have a greater feel for...
It's going to cause your brain to think of balance a little bit differently. It's going to help train your brain and your system of inner balance to stay on the horse better. So even if you don't feel like you need to, quote, strengthen how hard you squeeze your knees into the saddle, you still need to practice without your stirrups. If you watch this young lady in the video, when she loses both of her stirrups in about fence 3 or so, you will notice that her lower leg position is stronger without the stirrups.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
tells me if you're practicing without the stirrups, you are going to develop better lower leg position than you are if you practice with your stirrups. Because when you have your stirrups there, you can pinch your knee in and let your calf do whatever it darn well pleases. It kind of goes wild. You take the stirrup iron away, you removed that crutch for your lower leg. You need to keep your calf on the horse or you're going to come unglued because your knee just acts like a pivot.
Right. It actually pushes you. It makes it worse.
It makes things worse, especially over fences. And if you're not a jumper, practicing over ground poles at the canter, practicing simple gymnastics for the human, for example, touching the horse's ears and leaning back, those things that we do on a lunge line, excellent without your stirrups, if you don't jump, you can still do those core strengthening exercises and balance strengthening exercises that give you that same strength of lower leg, and that's strength as in balance and position versus strength in muscle power.
And one of the things I notice when I ride without stirrups is that I have a much more, I have a much more complete feel of my horse's side. Like I use more of my leg.
Absolutely.
So again, you take that iron away, the focus is not on the knee. And so I feel more inner thigh contact, more lower calf contact. And it's almost like it gives me the opportunity to feel those different points of contact along the length of my leg. Mm-hmm. And because I can feel them, I can isolate them. And when I can isolate them, I can use them based on whatever I'm asking my horse to do. But it's like you have to keep doing it, because if I don't ride without stirrups for a while, like say a couple of months, I lose it. It's like so even though I think, I've done all that, I've paid my dues and done my no stirrups work. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but you kind of have to keep doing it. It's just like, you
Sure.
have to keep that muscle doing it.
Right, cross-training for your brain cells as well as your muscles. And part of the question was, how often should I do this?
Right.
Well, that depends on what you want to address. If you do it often for short periods of time, you are going to address a different part of your brain and your learning center than you are if you do it for once a week for 25 minutes. For example, I practice it very nearly every time I ride, because I tend to be very crooked. I have a lot of injuries on one side of my body. And those injuries tend to cause me to ride in a crooked fashion. So by taking my feet out of the stirrups, I can ride straighter. But what I do is I ride without the stirrups for 3 or 4 minutes, put them back in, and I can feel the change in my balance and the change the way I'm sitting on the horse. Okay, that's not the change I want to. Drop them back out, get straight again, put them back in, maintain the straight. And I can go back and forth between the two to improve how straight I get.
You know, we've had discussions with various experts, and Daniel Stewart comes to mind about straightness or lack thereof, and how many riders actually don't have that straightness. So it sounds to me like that's a pretty good sort of, you know, every time you do get an attack is to do that, drop your stirrups, ride for a few minutes. But, you know, at what gaits? At all gaits? At the walk, trot, canter?
It depends on how your level of comfort, competency, and courage. Mm. If you're dealing with straightness issues, whether that straightness is longitudinal or lateral, front to back, because you tip forward or back, left to right like I do, don't be practicing it at a trot if all you can do is hang on for dear life at the trot. Practice it at gaits at which you feel confident and comfortable. So that's going to depend on the individual human. It's just that perfect practice makes perfect. If I ride with my stirrups all of the time and I don't keep checking back for that straightness laterally, I lose track mentally of whether or not I really am straight. So 80% of my practice, I'm wrong. Right. Well, I'm not practicing at all. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is if you practice it for 25 minutes straight twice a week. There you're dealing with muscle strength and muscle memory. You put those muscles in an area where they need to work hard. The correct muscles need to work hard. And what will happen is, we've seen with our horses, if you allow the muscles that you don't want to work hard, work them long enough that they become exhausted, by necessity, your body will start to use the correct muscles that you're asking for, because the ones that aren't supposed to be working just plain old wear out. That's what I call the George Morris method. Okay. You just keep posting trot until you're so exhausted, and that will create both muscle strength and muscle memory. So that's a completely different aspect of what riding without stirrups can benefit.
So really, like you said, it depends on
what you want to accomplish.
What you want to accomplish. So there's as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about supplements, and you have that loading dose when you actually have to build up, the amount of supplements and nutrients in your horse's body. You kind of go hard and heavy for.
I like that. Right? Yeah, loading dose.
Loading dose of no stirrups work. So you got it. So you're building muscles, you're strengthening, and
versus
then
maintenance.
You have this maintenance, and that's not to say you don't need the muscle strengthening every now and again, but it's at least worth the maintenance program.
Right. And just because you don't jump jumps doesn't mean you shouldn't practice riding without your stirrups.
No, I mean, this is good for half passes and half halt even.
Hello, it's good for trail riders.
It's good for trail riders. You know, it's funny because I used to, when I first started hunting, I had really only I didn't have much of a jumping background. I had really only had the basics in dressage. And I remember laughing, saying, thank God I had dressage training, because I'm like leg yielding around rocks and muddy, things. Thank God I had the lateral work, because, yes, your horse makes a lot of the decisions out there, but you definitely need a nice lateral leg.
Yes.
To not crash sometimes.
That's right. It's all about the cross training.
All right. Well, that's fabulous discussion. So no stirrups work. Go to stablescoop.com or find us on Facebook under Stable Scoop, and you'll be able to see that video, because it is pretty amazing and definitely a testimony to doing some no stirrups work. Thank you, Jen. That was a great answer to the question of the week.
There we go.
And we have eaten up over an hour of Stable Scoop this week.
We gabbed.
We do. And the funny thing is, it's like, it doesn't help that I haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks either. So I feel like we're catching up here. If you want details about today's show, as I said, go to stablescoop.com. Gosh, we've been talking so much, I can't even talk anymore. You will find links, photos, and more information about today's guest. And we do love your feedback, so please follow us. Friend us on Facebook. We're at Stable Scoop. We send out tweets on Twitter at Horse Radio. You can send me email at helena@horseradionetwork.com. There's also Glenn at horseradionetwork.com. Many thanks to Coach Jen for joining me today in Glenn's absence. I think this went pretty well. What do you think?
It's great to be here. It was fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network. Our URL there is horseradionetwork.com. And Jen, I think that's it for this week. Thanks to everyone for joining us, and we will be back next week with more.